Brooks' tour bus.
Really?
Yeah, until recently. But we were just debating, like, did Brooks ever, like, smush back here? I think the bed's too narrow. I don't think Garth wasn't getting busy back here.
Yeah, of course he was.
What?
What was it? What's his wife's name?
Chris Gaines.
What's his wife's name? She was a country Trisha Yearwood.
Oh, Trisha Yearwood. That's
yeah, they were smashing back here.
You think Yearwood came on the road?
Yeah, had to. They have kids probably.
But you don't think that they like went to a hotel room and this was just like he would just bump around on the road back here?
You got to do it at least once.
Yeah, I guess to
you got to experience it, right?
Well, then I guess we're experiencing it.
We are.
It's in the air. I thought I tasted something in the air. Think about it, man. Yearwood and Brooks back here really putting some screws together. The nuts and bolts.
Do you think they sing along together?
In unison as that would be so beautiful.
Yeah, that's special.
That would be really beautiful.
It is special.
Bro, so what's popping with you, man? How are you?
Oh, just a busy week here. You know, every year we've been doing this for the last 4 years, kind of coming down and raising awareness, trying to help as many people as we can, and then you can talk a little football. You know, it's the biggest week of the year where everybody's eyes are on one place, and we could do as much work in 3 days as we could do probably the whole year of reaching people. So it's been impactful. It's been fun. Gonna play a little flag football tonight with the Wounded Warriors. I'm their full-time quarterback, so it's been fun. I've been doing it the last 3 years.
They don't put you on defense at all?
I've jumped out there a few times.
Yeah. Ball hawking safety.
Yeah, I'm not as fast as I used to be, but we're gonna do that, and I'm gonna head back to LA tomorrow.
Hell yeah, man.
Get out of here before the chaos hits.
It seems like it's going to be crazy out here. It seems like people have been talking about traffic. People have been talking about a terrible airport. Like it's going to be bad, man. Hopefully we can sort it all out. Hopefully we can get out of Dodge, and I'm trying to get out of here early as well.
If we take the big bus, maybe you will.
Dude, should we? I drove down here on this.
Yeah, he came down here on this. What do you think about, as a former quarterback, what do you think about all these new guys coming in, man?
Pretty impressive.
All these young guys.
It's pretty impressive. I think that what they're doing at a younger age, right, like the Elite 11 camps and stuff like that, is preparing them more for what's about to come. They're more prepared in colleges. We're seeing more freshmen in college excel. Trevor Lawrence this year winning the national championship, and then guys getting into the league. Patrick Mahomes, Jared Goff, though, you know, both those guys really didn't have a first year to call. Second year was better. Baker Mayfield looked good this year. Lamar Jackson and all the other guys got an opportunity. But I think they're just more prepared for what's about to come. And I think that the transition from the college game to the pro game is becoming more easy because a lot of what they're doing schematically, offensively in the pros is very similar to what they're doing in college right now.
What do you think Trevor Lawrence is going to do at Clemson in the next 2 years? I mean,
what can he? I mean, what he was able to accomplish this year. I mean, the only thing he can do to better that, right, is to win a national championship next year and win the Heisman Trophy. I mean, I suppose if you win the national championship and let's say Tua finds a way to win the Heisman, it's almost the status quo. But he literally could win the next 2 national championships. He has to play for 3 years. So you are locked in with Trevor Lawrence at Clemson as your quarterback for the next 2 years. That's got to be pretty salty for old Dabo when he looks at that depth chart.
Possible he sits out his junior year.
I don't know the mindset from all the conversations I've had with him, and from what I've seen, he doesn't seem like that guy. He seems like a guy that would just, lay down in traffic for his teammates. So that would really be, a point where you're like, I got to think about me here. But you do still too, right? Because you're not getting paid for what you're doing there. You're making a ton of money for your university and for the NCAA, but you're not getting paid for it. So you have to think about that. That he literally could be one of the first to actually sit out a full year. I mean, we've seen some players this year sit out a majority of the season when they got hurt early. We watched Bosa do it. So that's always a possibility, but I don't foresee it in his character, but you never know.
Right. How do you think your career would be different if you had some long-ass hair like Trevor Lawrence?
He's probably going to have to cut it before he gets to the NFL, just because we don't have many Hall of Fame busts in Canton that have, man buns.
Right, because it's hard probably to make the bust of how do you, get a bronze hair, you know what I mean? Like, how do you...
just a clump of what it's made out of, bronze or something like that, and it would look awful.
It would look awful, man. So if you want to make it to Canton, Trevor, maybe consider snipping that whole thing.
Yeah, but there's a lot of other professions that you could do well and succeed in with a man bun.
Yeah, probably.
Not many.
There's some. There's definitely some.
Are we an example here?
Yes, I'm saying, bro. Not many, man. It's tough to succeed with the man bun. It holds you back, man.
Dude, do you think that man buns are out? Because when I first... So, little story.
I think you pull it off pretty well.
Whenever I had a man bun, that's when they got popular, and it was like the prime time because you can't get, like when man buns were popular, which was like 2 years ago, you can't like automatically like, oh, I'm getting a man bun, because you had to have grown your hair out for a year in advance. So I just happened to be lucky.
You're in the right spot at the right time.
But now that it's not in anymore, sometimes I'm like, man, should I just cut it?
No.
But
I mean, is it you? Is it your identity right now? What do you think?
Or is it holding him back? Is it pulling him back, literally? It might be, man. Would you cut his hair?
Would I cut his hair?
Like live right now?
I would, but if I did cut his hair, it would be with clippers, and he would just completely do a buzz cut.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's your specialty?
Yeah.
Dude, what about a long-ass mustache? I feel like back in the day, quarterbacks used to have like a big-ass, like Ken Stabler mustache.
I got a good one. If I would have let it happen, you know, and probably pulled some handlebars with it.
Ooh, I'm looking at it right now.
Devastating.
It looks thick. It looks devastating.
Yeah, it would have been devastating.
Dashingly handsome.
Thank you.
No, bro, it's the stash, man. I wish I was toying with the stash this morning. I look like a French peasant.
Yeah.
It didn't look good, bro.
Usually when you find that out pretty quick. It's the first facial hair that actually comes.
Right.
Yeah, so you find out pretty quick if you're going to be kind of a woodsy man or a...
Would you have a stash at like 12 years old or something? Like little wisps of it on the side?
I could always grow a really good mustache and a goatee. I can't grow it like here. Some guys will have that like a really solid beard. I mean, his is pretty good too, right there. That goes away. I can't really grow it there, so it has to be groomed. So I always feel like probably less of a man because I have to groom more.
No. Don't feel like that, dude.
Thanks.
You're manly, bro. You're manly.
Appreciate
Look
that.
at your legs, bro. You got some.
I got some hairy legs.
You got hairy legs.
I've
They're
had to
strong,
I've
too.
had to transplant some of the hairy leg stuff into these spots that I feel inadequate about.
People do that.
Yeah.
No, that's popular. Eminem did that.
Really?
Yeah, man. He took his leg hair and put it right on his face, bro. Slapped it right in his face.
Good for him.
Yeah, man. He got even more handsome because of it. What's your...
Oh, sorry, man.
No,
I was
please,
gonna ask
man.
you still listening to Eminem.
That's what I was about to
Yeah.
ask.
Really?
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, he spoke to me, right, man. You know, that album he wrote with Not Afraid on, I think it was Recovery. I mean, we've been through similar
That's true.
things. And I remember when I was listening to him a few times, I was just like thinking in my mind, wouldn't it be cool to meet him and kind of tell him my story in the way he thinks, to figure out a way how it would come out.
Yes.
You know, I listened to a ton of his stuff. That album that he did with, we had a lot of people on where he had, I can't think of it, Rihanna on it.
Yes.
It was
One of the more recent ones.
Yeah, it was impactful.
The monster.
Yeah.
Was it the monster under my bed?
Those were impactful, man. I listened to that Monster song when I was in prison.
Damn.
A lot.
How do you listen to music in prison? Do they give you headphones?
You get like this little MP3 player that
Okay.
you can go down and buy music on, songs, and it goes onto your like little MP3 player, and then you have headphones and you just rock out.
But it's not like an iPod. It's like a off-brand, like
It's an off-brand-
prison only.
Yeah, it's an off-brand prison iPod. Whoever makes it and manufactures it, for how many people are in prison in this country, dude, rolling in the dough.
Really?
Yeah.
Who was the most interesting person you met in prison?
My roommate, he was a Afghan Iraqi war veteran, and you know, he had done something probably that a lot of us have done in our lives, and that's drive drunk. And it just so happened one night he killed somebody. He was on leave from a tour in Iraq, and had been in there since he was 23. And I watched him try to better himself every single day. I didn't understand why he was doing it. I thought we were losers. I said, look at us, man. We're losers. You know, nothing's gonna ever happen for us now. And he wasn't resolute with that. And one day he confronted me about how the value I had to not only men in there, but when I got out. And he suggested we go down to the prison library and help guys learn how to read who didn't know how to read. And I went and did it. I don't know why. I didn't want to. I've had many of those moments in my life where coaches or people try to change and make me better, but I did, and I went, and wow, I mean, it was really a kind of a watershed moment of trying to change things for me. So when I got out of prison, it was kind of like the foundation I set moving forward, and he's been a huge part of that. He got out recently too, and I'm actually going to see him in a couple weeks in Nashville, and you know, he's going to school and becoming an engineer. So
Hell yeah, get a little barbecue with him, man.
yeah, I'm gonna enjoy spending time with that guy. Turns out he was a bit of a guardian angel for me, you know, without me even knowing it. and really grateful for that.
You get to watch the Super Bowl while you're locked up? Like, you guys you get to watch everything, right?
Yeah, I had a flat screen, a little 13-inch flat screen at the end of my bed.
Yeah.
45 channels, NFL Red Zone in the fall.
What? Red Zone?
Yes.
What?
It is not.
I don't get Red Zone.
It's not a deterrent. Go to prison. You can get the Red Zone, all right? Yeah.
Like, this sounds like a good ass package. 3 hots, a cot, and Red Zone.
It's not a deterrent. Prison's not a deterrent, man.
Yeah.
It's another society in our country. That's why we have so many damn people in it. It's a babysitting service. Adult daycare is what it is. And, you know, I was miserable there. I mean, the people in there are miserable.
Did you ever feel like you were in danger or anything like that?
No, I never thought I was in danger. People really looked up to me.
Is that because you're like a big dude and they knew who you were, or that's because you were just in a place that it wasn't super?
I was in a place that it wasn't. I was in my home state. People looked up to me for the fact that I was able to make it to the NFL. I'm the only Montanan ever to be drafted in the first round of the NFL draft. There are more first-round draft picks in the Manning family than the state of Montana ever. So there's some uniqueness. Even though I saw myself as a failure, those guys didn't, you know, and so I think there was a lot of respect with that. But I also didn't interact or engage with anybody either. I sat in my room and was miserable and self-destructive for a long period of time until, of course, my roommate really kicked in and helped me before I got out.
What do you think of dudes like Robert Kraft who are kind of pushing this like prison reform stuff? Do you think that that's like a legitimate cause that they're pushing there?
Yeah, I don't believe nonviolent drug offenders belong in prison. I believe they belong in treatment.
Yeah.
And that would eliminate a lot of those for-profit prisons that are all over the country, right? That are on Wall Street and are used and stuff like that. I was in one of them in Montana. So I have a different perspective. I would have not known any of that stuff existed if I hadn't gone through what I went through. So, of course, I have a different perspective than a lot of people that see it and talk about it. But I know how it affects families. I know how it affects people. Let's put it this way, right? When I went to prison, I didn't know a drug dealer, right? I got my drugs from a doctor. When I left prison, I know like 100 drug dealers now.
Damn.
You know, so it doesn't perpetuate like reform and change, right? It perpetuates more crime and you go back. That's the rule. The exception is my roommate and I, who are both out. Everybody else that was like on our block are either back in prison or have never gotten out.
Damn, bro. Would you ever go back to your prison, like visit the guys, speak to the guys, or anything like that?
Definitely. We had an opportunity recently. The state of Montana didn't allow it because we wanted to bring a film crew and do it for use some documentary stuff for it.
Yeah.
And they thought we were trying to, I don't know what we were trying to do, but my old warden, who was the warden in Montana, got transferred to a place in Indianapolis, and I was in Indy recently doing a talk. And he reached out, and I went down to his county lockup, his county jail, and spoke to all his inmates. That was pretty powerful. And I explained to him, like, I'm just like you. I'm just like every one of you guys. You know, 4 years ago, I was sitting exactly where you are, and now I'm in here speaking to you. You can do the same thing when you get out. It's just a matter of what choices you decide to make moving forward, and hopefully that's the way it goes. But it was powerful for me to be able to do that.
Hell yeah. What was your first meal when you were out of there where you're like, I need some fucking Whataburger or whatever?
For me, my hometown has a couple local places. My mom and dad picked me up, so there was some local delicacies. One's called Taco Treat. Ooh. It's a taco joint that makes like these like really homemade tacos and then they have cheese crisps, which are tortillas that are kind of deep fried and are solid, almost tostadas with cheese melted on top of it. That was one stop. The other stop was a place called Howard's Pizza, which makes it differently. It's a round pizza, but they cut it in squares and this really thin crust. And so those are two things that for the first week I was out, and I was a 38 or 36-year-old man living in mom and dad's basement. I was eating a lot of junk food.
Tacos and pizza.
Yeah, tacos and pizza.
Hell yeah, bro. Yeah. Hell yeah.
Awesome. Well, we said 10 minutes. It's been probably more than that, but we really appreciate you coming.
Yeah, man.
on.
Thanks for the time, bro. Thanks for hanging, man.
Thanks for continuing to do this. My cousin listens to Barstool all the time, so he says I'm cool because I got to do it. So
what's his name?
Yeah, what's your cousin?
His name's John. His name's Danny Orndine.
Shout out Danny.
Danny
Orndine.
Bro. Much respect to you, Danny. Much respect to you, Ryan, bro. Thanks so much for coming through.
You bet, guys. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it.